minutes. The second agenda item is comments, suggestions, and petitions by residents in attendance regarding items not on the agenda. Seeing none, we will move on to the discussion items. Number 3, first being the monthly fire department report.
Good evening, Mark Scanlon, Fire Chief. For the month of March, the Westchester Fire Department responded to 132 incidents. 58 of those were in Westchester Borough for a total time of service of 40 hours and 49 minutes. The department completed 1,454 hours of training and a total of 795 hours of activities. This brings our total training for the 2024 year to 5,092 hours. There was an estimated loss of $122,473, and a total content loss of $8,400. Incident of note: on March 11th, there was a trash fire, barn fire on Sunset Hollow Road in West Goshen Township, and a large brush fire in East Bradford Township. In 2 years ago, the Westchester Fire Department began doing building pre-plans, not just in Westchester Borough, but the surrounding municipalities that the department serves. Members of the pre-planning team are running into issues with the owners and managers providing information that is asked for. They're also finding issues that are not life safety concerns that are not just for the fire department, but for EMS and police as well. They are having issues with the managers and owners correcting these issues. The pre-planning committee is going to start reporting life safety issues that are found to the municipal fire marshals as a result. One other thing of note: on April 3rd, Ladder 53, while responding to an incident, was involved in a motor vehicle collision at the intersection of Baltimore Street and Market Street. Crews immediately advised myself and Dave March of the incident and began to provide the aid to the driver of the other vehicle involved. There were no injuries to the crew of Ladder 53, but the driver of the other vehicle was transported by Good Fellowship Ambulance to Paley Hospital. The accident is being investigated by Westchester Police Department with the assistance of Pennsylvania State Police. The fire department is cooperating fully with the investigation, and the investigation is still ongoing. Any questions, I defer to Chief Lay regarding the incident.
Thank you, Chief Scanlon. You sort of ran through, after you gave the updates on your
Yes.
report, you ran through challenges with owners and managers.
Yes, so the fire department began doing pre-plans. They go out to sites, buildings of high concern, the new behavioral hospital, Chestnut Square, places like that. There are large life hazards, large occupancy. They go, they give the owner or property manager some information about who they are, what they're looking for, just so the department can have an idea before we go or before there is an incident of any challenges the building may face. They give the property owner or manager suggestions of how to correct any issues, and they put all the information in a program that we use called BlazeMark. They follow up with the property managers to see if there any corrections have been made, and a lot of times they get radio silence. So Chestnut Square, for example, they found that the fire department connection out front is being blocked by bushes. They found that fire pumps are out of inspection by several years, and these issues are of concern not just to myself but the crews. So we talked to Dave March and we talked to the other fire marshals from West Goshen, from Westtown and Thornberry, and we're going to start informing them of any issues that we find.
So, and I don't know if you know this, or Mr. Metrick, if you know it, is there any recourse? Like if we are citing what I'll call violations for now, and folks aren't responding to, like, it's public safety. I would imagine that if I was a resident of Chestnut Square, I would be a little concerned. Right? So are there penalties that we can apply, or should we consider?
So the issue that we run into is that we're not an enforcement agency. So that's why we're going to start deferring to the fire marshals and either the townships or the borough for that. So
Yeah. So perfect. Great. So then, Chief Scanlon, will you start reporting on that on your monthly report?
Yeah,
here?
we can start
Great.
reporting to that.
Thank you.
Any
Any other
questions?
questions? Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the police department. Chief Lee?
Hi, I'm Josh Lee, the police chief. Welcome to springtime. Real quick to go over the numbers, which are not exciting at all. Very similar to last month's numbers. I make one correction. It says February 2024 crimes reported. That should be March. I apologize. That's my typographical error. A couple incidents of note. You'll see that number for assaults. There's 27 there. There's 5 serious assaults that were what we call aggravated assaults. 4 of those 5 have been solved and cleared, which means an arrest has been made on them. And right next to that, 2 burglaries. Both of those burglaries have been cleared by arrest. Arrests have been made on them. And if we go to the next slide, we had an incident, which was a stabbing incident in the evening on Sunday evening, March 24th. I wanted to give a quick overview of that incident because stuff like this doesn't happen every day, thank goodness. These are the exceptions to the rule, but this was an all hands on deck type incident that we responded to, so we'll go over a quick spotlight. Sunday evening, about 8 p.m., that incident was reported to the police. With victims showing up at the Chester County Hospital and other locations, 3 victims in total showing up at the Chester County Hospital and located at other locations in Westchester Borough, reporting that they were assaulted with a knife somewhere in Westchester Borough. We had conflicting information as far as exactly where that assault occurred. Originally, it was reported to have occurred in the first block of Sharon Alley, which is the alley that runs north and south between High Street and Walnut Street, just south of Market, behind the Barnaby's bar per se, although Barnaby's was not involved at all. And that took about an hour for us to determine that it actually occurred in the first block of Wilmot Muse Alley, which is the alley that runs north and south between High Street and Church Street. So on the other side of High Street, behind the Bicentennial parking garage. Immediately upon the report of the incident, our patrol units began a search for obviously the offenders, started to investigate. Within 45 minutes, I believe, we alerted the public to the fact that there was the serious crime that occurred. And that happened via social media, Facebook and Instagram. Witnesses were being interviewed and the investigation continued. Sunday evening at about 11 p.m., we had 6 of our 8 Westchester detectives on location, 2 Chester County detectives, and all 4 of the police patrol officers that were working were actively involved in the investigation. By Monday afternoon, the following day at 1 p.m., the suspect was identified, and detectives continued to work to collect evidence, consulted with the district attorney's office on what the appropriate charges would be for the offender. And the decision was made sometime after Monday at 1 p.m. on Tuesday that the offender would be arrested. We obtained an arrest warrant for the offender, and the offender was arrested Thursday afternoon. And if we go to the next slide, that graphic there just shows kind of in a nutshell everything that we put into this investigation over the first 24 hours and then moving forward. Upwards of 200 person hours of time has been spent on this so far, and that will continue through the process of prosecution and bringing the defendant to whatever justice there is. The preliminary hearing for that case, we can go back a slide, Jeff. The preliminary hearing for that case was continued from Friday to 2 Fridays from now, I believe, because the victim with the most serious injuries in that case is still in the hospital. Just wanted to talk or leave that there for a minute. And if there are any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer any questions there. If not, I can move forward. Okay. Touching on what Chief Scanlon mentioned, there was a fire truck accident that occurred. Chief Scanlon is exactly right about all of that. Just to supplement, our serious crash reconstruction team is investigating that. and they are what we call reconstructing that, the scientific reconstruction of that accident, so that when when that investigation is over, we'll have a very clear picture of exactly what happened and hopefully how it happened. But right now, it is still under investigation, and we don't have any further details to share. And then if we move to the next slide, I'm excited to mention that one of the ideas that we have in the police department in 2024, and we'd love to be able to bring to fruition in 2025, is a police social worker. So for the first time in Westchester and the first time in the county, we would employ a social worker, which would be employed and would work hand in hand with the police department. You can see the bullet points. The ones I like best is that it would help us really to serve our residents better. In cooperation with the police and the clients, the social worker would be a single point of contact for people in the community that are in need. Several agencies exist, several social service agencies exist in Chester County. This social worker would be the go-between between the police department and those other agencies, and would really be in a position to service our community really, really well. There are model agencies or models in other agencies in adjoining counties. Radnor Township Police Department employs a police social worker. That's a pretty new program for them. The Lancaster City Police Department in Lancaster County employs 2 police social workers, and they've had a police social worker there for almost 5 years now, I believe. So there is a model that we can follow, but this is exciting. The lifts in that are that we will, we'll have to budget for that. We'll be asking for roughly $90,000 or $95,000 to pay the salary, benefits, startup costs for a police social worker next year. I'll have more details I'll share later in the year, but I just kind of want to put that bug in your ear. So hoping for 3 fans of that and 3 supporters of that as we move forward towards 2025. That's really all I have. But if we go to the next slide, that's Officer Gilbert there. One of our larger officers, also one of our most friendly officers, welcoming Easter and the Easter Bunny. Spring has sprung. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Chief? Nicole?
I do. We'll come back.
I'm sorry.
So I don't know, I guess the question is, and this might be for a few different groups, but barring even the latter 53 accident, but the accident leading up to that corner has had like 3 or 4 people or something overrun the street and almost hit the Country Bagel. Like this has happened within the past year or two, like multiple times. Like what is the plan? I don't know why this is just happening unless this is something that I just haven't been aware of in the past, but it seems like it's a relatively new thing that these cars are, like I said, almost hitting the Country Bagel. I mean, in the tree, I know that somebody stole a car, but it's happened a few times. Like what are we gonna do? I mean, what's the root cause, and how can we start to address that so that this corner does not remain as dangerous as it is as we continue to grow, the town in the town center, if you will?
Yes, ma'am. So just to be clear, I might have confused it. Those are 2 separate incidents and accidents, or 2 separate crashes. The crash involving the fire truck occurred at Balmer and Market Street in the area where the Dunkin' Donuts is.
But that was in response
Yes,
to
ma'am.
the other accident. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I understand.
misheard.
Sorry.
But you are absolutely correct. The intersection at Matlack Street with Gay Street, where the Country Bagel unfortunately has had now 3 incidents, is predominantly a speed issue. The cars are just simply traveling too fast and can't negotiate the turn, or fail to recognize that there is a turn. Previously, there used to be traffic bollards that protected the equipment, the technology, the computer equipment there that controls the traffic signal. Used to be there. Those bollards are no longer there because they've been hit and really didn't do anything to keep the traffic from, or keep the car from making contact with the equipment. Incidents like this really highlight the danger that traffic crashes can cause, or it can bring to an urban municipality. All you need to do is look out now and see cars that, even traveling the speed limit, the potential energy that they bring up to Gay and Matlack Street, where things get tighter and closer, where we often have festivals, where there are often people on foot. Those are concerns that my predecessors and that I have both brought to council before in relation to another topic, but they will continue to exist and they won't go away. There are certain things that we can do via enforcement, via communication, to try to mitigate those dangers, but those dangers will always exist as long as cars are a thing. There is infrastructure that we can, that we can look at as far as re-engineering an intersection, putting in different, signals, putting in different warnings. But as it stands involving a state road, there is nothing that we can do to change the way that intersection functions or to change the geometry of that intersection without a lot of things need to happen before that would happen.
Mr. Metrick?
That can help with this. What does that look like? How do we do it in the state? Take that matter up.
Thank you, Sean.
Great. Yeah, no one should be afraid to go to the bagel place to get their bagel, right? And just in general.
Agreed.
Chief, two quick questions. One regarding the police social worker. What has the impact been with Radnor Township and Lancaster City? That's the first question.
A little newer for Radnor, other than it's been very well received by both the police department and the community. I couldn't comment on the impact. As far as Lancaster, deeper roots there. They've been in place much longer. It's just part of the way things are now there. It's in the culture of the way that they operate now. So the impact is that the services that usually do exist in some form or fashion in the county are now able to be much more readily delivered to the clients that need them. So rather than relying on a client to follow, 6 different steps to get from the point of initial contact with police, where it's not a police issue so much as it's a mental health issue, and we refer that client to whatever the agency might be, and then rely on them to follow up, which unfortunately they don't. We have a social worker that works for and with us and is able to walk them through those steps, increasing the likelihood that they seek the services that are usually already out there. They just have to go find.
Thank you. The second question is, I've been receiving complaints about people dining on Gay Street and, parts of Market Street where people have their engines revving in the mufflers. Has there been any discussion about enforcing that ordinance? And because I know we're going into May, and that's gonna help us the weekends. So just want to get your thoughts about that.
Yeah. So last year we actually had a well, if you want to call it an information campaign, where we advertised via the signage out front, the speed trailer sign, that actually we started it 2 years ago more formally, to slow down and to quiet down in the downtown is what we called it. Every year we write a few citations for excessive noise in the CBD, for the cars that are revving the engines, or for the cars that are blaring their music. If it's engine noise from a car, that's something that's much more difficult to enforce because the regulations just there's no bright line that an officer can say, yes, that's a violation and we can enforce that. For the music, it's a little different. So we have more success prosecuting a violation for loud music than loud car exhaust or engine noise. But it is something that we pay close attention to every time it starts getting warm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to Good Fellowship.
Good evening, Chaz Brogan, EMS Chief from Good Fellowship Ambulance. March was relatively benign for us, which has been the trend so far through the first quarter. Our volume's actually averaging a little bit down compared to 2023, and we've not been able to say that in a couple years. So There were 640 total calls, 188 of which were in Westchester Borough, about 30% of our overall volume in March. As I said, there's really nothing else extraordinary on the report. If you have any questions on that, otherwise I have a couple other things I can cover.
No questions.
Okay. We did receive a new ambulance that we've been desperately waiting for 2 years. Unfortunately, with the supply chain issue, they're very difficult to come by. We're about 2 years out. So we got our first one. We have a second one coming in August. We're very excited about that. We need some new vehicles. Just a reminder that National EMS Week is May 19th through the 25th, and we'll be holding our annual community festival on Thursday, the 23rd at our station. We certainly invite everybody to come out. We'll have a whole bunch of different vendors there, fire trucks, police cars, all kinds of stuff. So good stuff there. Haven Behavioral Health did have their official grand opening. They went through their regulatory compliance checks over the last week or two, so they are officially able to fully open now. We've been doing a lot of work with them. We are looking to set up a referral with them in the future for EMS to take 911 calls directly to them and avoid the ER, which is the ultimate goal here. So some good work going on there, and hopefully we'll have some more news later in the year with some initiatives with them. So any other questions for me at all?
No questions for me.
All right, great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief Brogan. Okay, we've got a couple items, action items on the agenda. Motion to approve World Music Day in downtown Westchester.
Good evening, John O'Brien, Executive Director, Downtown Westchester. This is an annual request we make of council. World Music Day is a welcome to summer. We're celebrating on Friday, June 23rd. To welcome summer, we have musicians set up throughout on various corners in the plaza, on the courthouse steps throughout the day from 11 a.m. to 9, I believe is the time that we requested. We are just seeking a temporary relief from the busking law that the borough has to allow the musicians to set up. That's the one request.
And we've done this in the past.
Yes, it started out 2 years ago. We called it Fête de la Musique. It was a little hard for people to say the French version. So last year we called it World Music Day, but it always follows the summer solstice.
And we always waive the busking and,
Yes.
okay. And it goes till 9 o'clock. Did it normally go to 9?
I believe so. Yeah, it's always been 11 a.m. to 9. And this
Okay.
year it'll actually be on a Friday, and with the open air market, we'll have a little bit more space to be able to set up.
Okay.
And that follows generally like also with like Gay Street open air market, the noise regulations, we have everybody shut down at 9 o'clock.
Right. Okay.
All right. I think I heard you say June 23rd, but I'm reading that and it says June
And
20th.
then my letter is incorrect. It's because I used last year's letter, I'm sure, to get you, make sure I'm citing the correct. It is Friday, June 21st. Friday, June 21st. So still June 21st, but last year was a Wednesday, and this year with the leap year, the days moved to a Friday.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. And we've got a couple of other special events. Fraternal Order of Police on May 9th.
Hi, Keith Karowski, Director of the Parks and Rec Department. I'm going to kind of speak to all three events. 1, 3, and 4, they're all repeating events that have taken place before. Items 1, 3, and 4 are relatively small events that aren't really that impactful to the borough in general. All events have been approved by the police department and reviewed, and along with myself. The one that is a bit larger is the Porch Fest. I think this is the third annual event, third annual Porch Fest that'll be taking place here in the borough. Wonderful event if you haven't attended it before. Each year it has grown a little bit as the organizers have gotten a little bit more of how the event takes place, which areas within the borough work better than others. It has been a long process with myself and the police department reviewing everything that needs to take place, but we have reviewed all of the All 4 of the applications have been reviewed. All 4 have been reviewed and approved by the police and the Parks and Rec Department, and are asking for the committee to do the same. I don't know if you have any questions specific about the other 3 events, but the members of the Porch Fest organizing committee are here to answer any questions about the event specific.
I just have one question. I noticed that the FOP has a cost associated of $60.
Yeah.
I don't see the cost on any of the other events.
That is a different request. The 2 runs and races, there are no outside requests or no outside costs besides the application fee and the police overtime fees. Those are standard when it comes to runs, races in the borough. It's a $250 application fee and $1,080 for the police overtime fee. That is paid by the organizers. The separate request for the police function or the FOP function is for bagged meters on North Church Street, right by the FOP. It's the same meters they request every year. They close that small portion of the street for their services for the fallen officers that they are having service for. Oh, excuse me. Yes. The $60.
You don't want staff.
And that is an important
Yes.
call out.
So does the Fraternal Order of Police event also have the application fee and potential police?
They
Well,
have a $50
overtime.
application fee because that is considered a block party. So that is a $50 application fee as per our special event application. A run, race, or an event is a $250 application fee. They have no other fees for the FOP event other than the parking fees, or excuse me, the waiving of the parking fees.
Have we waived it in the past?
We have. The parking department has. It hasn't come before the committee before.
I got no issue waiving the fee.
Feels like we set a precedent, so. Doesn't sound like it makes sense to go back on it.
Okay. So waiving of the fee, the $60 for the bagging of the meters.
Right.
Okay.
So I have a question, and I'm not sure if you can answer it, Mr. Karowski or Mr. Metrick. And I know we had a little bit of a debate last month around what was coming before the council for review. So I don't recall seeing, other than Porch Fest, I don't recall seeing these. Now they may have been but I don't remember, for example, the FOP or these runs coming before council, at least in my tenure. So that's new? This is what we
Those
can
are-
expect to see now?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Previous councils, going back a few years, actually, when we first started the special event application, I brought everything before you guys, before council. And then as the councils progressed, they said, we're done looking at these. There were many more pre-COVID than there are currently. So they said, we're done looking at these unless it involves significant resources from the borough. So now, as per our conversations at last month's meeting, I'll bring every application, every special event application will come back through this committee for your approval or denial.
Okay, thank you. I think also, and it looks like you've done it on here, but just making it clear where we're waiving fees and where we're not.
Okay.
Okay.
This was the only one that's asking for any waiver of fees. My apologies.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Any other questions from council? Thanks. Okay, so item number C, consideration approval gallery walk start time 4 p.m. on May 5th and October 4th for downtown Westchester. Mr.
John O'Brien
O'Brien,
again. So our spring gallery walk and our fall gallery walk both occur on the first Friday of May and the first Friday of October. There were current borough regulations. There's free street parking on first Friday starting at 5 p.m. Every first Friday. That's street level metered parking, does not include the garages. We are simply asking, and we've asked this in prior years and council has granted it, to move the start time up to 4 p.m. to coincide with the start time of gallery walk. A couple years ago, we made a decision to move the time of Gallery Walk from a 5 to 9 event to a 4 to 8 event because we felt like we were attracting, especially from that 8 to 9 o'clock hour, more of a pre-gaming of the bars, which was not the intent of the event. So that's why we've shifted it to slightly earlier.
This one I do remember. I have no issue. Any questions from council?
I do have one question. May 5th, Sunday.
I'm getting really bad with sending my times to all of
It's
you.
all right.
That'll be Friday, May 3rd.
May 3rd. Okay.
Yes, Friday, May 3rd.
And then October 4th, that's a Friday. Okay.
Yes, Friday. I did get that one correct. Yes.
Any other questions for Mr. O'Brien? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And finally, approve the March 2024 Public Safety Meeting Minutes. Any questions? Okay. And last but not least, any other business for public safety?
Keith back again. An event that was approved last month, the 225 parade that's coming up on April 21st, excuse me. I'm asking of the committee, on events like this in the past, the special event parking fee has been invoked. The 225 committee does not think that that's a wise idea, that we would invoke that fee for an event that we're asking people to come celebrate our birthday. So I'm asking of the committee, do you want to invoke the fee or do you not want to invoke the fee?
This is primarily for the parking garage, right?
Correct. It would just be for the 2 garages, not the surface lots.
Yeah, and this is our event, I would say.
This is our event.
No.
We're planning it in-house.
I would recommend we do not.
Just because I'm new, can you explain the
Sure.
difference for me?
That's still something we're kind of working out internally. The special event parking fee on Sundays, the parking is free in the borough. So for the restaurant festival and other events that fall on Sundays, the special event parking fee has been invoked. All the monies that are raised from that parking fee are given back to the organizer to help defray their cost to the borough. This is a borough event and we're asking people to come celebrate our birthday. So we thought it would be wise to not have that fee in place.
How much is the fee? Like $5?
That's varied too. It's been anywhere between $5, $10, and $20, depending on the event.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have no issue waiving that fee.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments, other business? All right, meeting adjourned.